Everyone, neutral stance, position. Yeah. Set. Courtesy. Student career number one. I intend to develop myself in a positive manner and to avoid anything that would be Number two. I intend to develop self-discipline in order to make the best of myself and others. Number three. I intend to use what I've learned in class to correctly invest. Well, myself and my fellow man, and never be used or offensive. Courtesy. All right, so right from here, take your scion and stick it in your belt loop if you happen to have it. We'll practice the drawing and putting away the sword first. If you don't have the scion, then just pretend. So remember, you start off by pushing out with your thumb, which is what releases the katana. And then we grab the suka by the suba, we pull it out of the sato, and that is called sato, drawing the sword. And then you're going to turn your palm up, roll the sword so it points down, and then quickly move it fast, and then stop, shake all of the orange juice off, the orange juice coming out, ninja, which is called jaburi. And then when we put the sword away, we call that no-to, right? So again, thumb pushes out on the sword, and then draw, and that's called bato. Turn the palm up, roll the sword, quickly shaking everything off of there, and we call that jaburi. And then the back of the sword goes across until you feel it drop in, and then you bring the sword up, the saya up the sword, and then put it back and lock it in place, which we refer to as no-to, right? So practice that on your own. You're just releasing bato, jaburi, and then no-to. Ideally without looking at all. All right, off you go. There, give you about a minute or two to do that. We're gonna get all the fight combinations. We're gonna put them together. It's gonna be a small change in the way we're doing the fight combination to ensure that we can do the form without falling out of our box. Very easy to find today. right, time. So now set your sides off to the side if you happen to have them. Or you can do something here. Whichever works out for you. So now we're going through our different cutting combinations. We're going to jump right into the combinations. So we'll start off with Bato. So the first one is going to be draw Bato. And then I grab the sword, it comes over my head. And then I step with the left foot, horizontal cut. And notice the sword continues that path around my body as I step forward with the right to the vertical cut, right? And then step back and then do it again. So you're going to step out with the right, Bato. Grab the sword, bring it over your head, step through the horizontal cut. Keep the sword going in that direction, step with the right vertical cut. And then back and do it again. And one more time, slow, Bato. Sword comes over the head, horizontal cut. Keep that going as you step forward, right, vertical cut. And practice that. Go. So for Zoom teams, you guys can see this. So I'll go backwards. So I'm mirroring you guys right now. You're going to go Bato, draw, and then I bring the sword over the head, and I come across horizontal cut. I bring the sword around, and then I step through vertical cut, right? So you can see from the side what I'm talking about with the around is I go here Bato, and then I come over the head, horizontal cut, and then I keep the sword going. Look how it travels all the way behind me before I go to the vertical cut, right? So with me, so this is like you guys are behind me in class. I go Bato, pendulum, and then horizontal, mass, and then out goes my head. Let's see it. So you're going to come over the head from this position. I can go vertical, I can go diagonal, I can go horizontal. Right? So it's kind of like a neutral starting spot, right? So off of the top, the first spot, I'm going to bring the sword over my head, and now I go horizontal, and go around my body. Right? The first one is so that I can come from here and do another swing, and then I go to the right combination horizontal. Here, also, you can use both hands from here, go over your head. Now, from this position, drop your right shoulder, and then forward down that way. Over, down. Just do the work out. Go down, the other side. It's going to be like the right shoulder, forward down, and then down. Drop the right shoulder. That's your left shoulder. Well, all right, time. So now, second cutting combination. So we're going to start from this position. So we just finished the vertical cut, right? You're going to step off to the side with your right foot. So it's actually going to be a little bit back. So I step directly to the side, right? And then from here, I'm going to step forward a little bit with the left. So I really would end up traveling it off. And then that's going to be diagonal. And then I come across horizontal from my left shoulder, step back forward with the right, and then that's going to be vertical. Right? So step back towards the back of your square. And sorry, you're going to be here. Your right side's going to be forward, so you would have been in a hard low stance. Step directly to the side, flat. And remember, with the flat, you're thinking the flat of the blade, right? This is a finely honed instrument, right? Nice and sharp, so that if you can chop through people. You don't want to block with the blade. I want to block with the flat of the blade, right? So when I block with the flat of the blade, and then I just simply step through with the left as I go right to the diagonal. I come over the shoulder, horizontal, and then I come around my shoulder, right shoulder, for the vertical as I step to the right, right? And step back again from here, right foot to the front, and step out wide. Step forward to the left side, diagonal, horizontal, and then step as you go to the vertical, right? Practice that 82 times. All right, so for Zoom team, or if you're watching YouTube later, so we're starting with your right side in the front. This will be me match or mirroring you. So just mirror exactly what I'm doing, or match what I'm doing. So I'm going to step off to the side with the right as I block, and then I step back in with the left as I go down to the diagonal. I come around my left shoulder as I go to horizontal rather. I come around the right shoulder as I step to the right and go back to vertical, right? So again, that same section. We're here. Step to the side with the right as you block, and then step forward with the left as you go diagonal. Come around your left shoulder as you go horizontal, and then come around the right shoulder to step forward to the right, and then vertical down, right? So again, if you're right behind me in class, it would look like this. You step off to the side block, step forward to the left, diagonal, around the left shoulder, horizontal, around the right shoulder, step to the right, vertical. Practice that. Same 82 times, kind of go ahead. So really fast with your grip and your heart, that baseball grip. And top, and top. Wow. Bring it around high, a little bit more. Yes, it does. Here, almost like the line pretty much. Do that again with the first one. Just a little bit more. Here. Elbows and toes. Good. And time, we're gonna go into the next one in just a minute, but one quick detail I want to make there is with the cutting combinations, the idea is that the sword doesn't stop till the end of the combo, right? So when I'm doing this one, for instance, as soon as I do the block, or after I do the block, I step straight forward, and it's 1, 2, 3. It doesn't stop on each one, right? So slow the combination down and don't stop. Right? Several of you are going here, and then you go 1, and then 2, and then 3, which I know that's kind of how I demonstrated, so you understand what cuts you're doing. However, you don't want any stop, any break in that motion. So once I get to here, it should be 1, 2, 3 as I'm going through that combination. Right? Make sense? All right, one more minute, and then we have to move on. Go. Step. All right, so let's move on. We're going to make a little bit of a change with this next one, right? So we just finished the last diagonal cut, or the last vertical cut. So now instead of stepping forward with the left, you're going to step backwards with the right if you do this first cut. So last week we did it this way. This week we're going to still do the same cut. We're going to step back with your left. And then you're going to come across this way still. And then we're going to spin through, and then here, and then step forward, right? Ideally, you should be able to start in the middle of the square, right? So in the middle of the square, right? And as I do this off of the first one, I step back. I'm sorry. I go here, and then when I spin, trying to spin in the same spot. So instead of I take all of this space on the spin through, I want it to be where I started. Because by the time we get to this point, you're going to be probably about the front part of your box, right? So I want it to be that I step back, and I go here, and then as I spin, I'm kind of spinning in the same spot. And now when I step here, I'm just right to the very front of my square, or maybe just 1 foot out of the square, right? Understand? So start towards the middle of your square, right foot forward. You just did your vertical cut off of that one. So now step back with the right as you go over your left shoulder, and then cut towards your left hip. And then come back around your right shoulder, left shoulder, and then switch your stance to do that diagonal cut. And then back up over the left shoulder as you spin through, diagonal cut to your left hip again. Step forward with the right, and then vertical. Right? And then shuffle back 1 step, and do it again. Over the left shoulder, step back with the right as you cut to the left shoulder, the left hip. Over the right shoulder, and then cut to the right hip as you change your stance. Back over the left shoulder, step to the right, spin through, step to the left, cut to the left hip, and then over your left shoulder as you go to vertical. As you go vertical. One more time, and then I'll let you off on your own. So we're here, step back with the right, diagonal to the left hip. Switch your stance, diagonal to the right hip. Switch your stance or come over the left shoulder, do spin, diagonal to the left hip, left leg is forward, and then over the left shoulder, vertical with the right leg. Okay. Practice that in your own. Zoom team time. All right, so for YouTube, your left side is forward. Just to make sure you guys can get this, you're going to step back. Your right side is forward. Step back with your right foot as you come over your hold on. I have to do this quickly before I can do it. Definitely right. Okay, I got it. All right, so you guys have your left side forward, your right side forward. Now I have it. Right side is forward. Come over your left shoulder as you step back with your right, and then cut to the left hip. And then you're going to come over the right shoulder, and then the left shoulder as you cut to the right hip into the stance. And then you're going to come back over the left shoulder as you come over the head, spin through. Your left foot will be forward as you cut towards your left hip. And then over the left shoulder as you step with the right, and then cut with your cut vertical. Right? So again, right side starts forward, step back, come over the left shoulder, and then cut to the left hip. Come over the right shoulder, cut to the right hip as you switch your stance. Come back over the left shoulder as you spin through. Your left leg is forward as you come from your right shoulder to your left hip, and then step through your right as you go over the left shoulder, and then cut straight down, right? So once again, as if you're in class with me this time, so you're right behind me, and our right side is forward, step back with the right, come over the left shoulder, step back with the right, come over the right shoulder, cut to the left hip, and then over the right shoulder, left shoulder, cut to the right hip, back over the left shoulder, over the head, and then come over the right shoulder, cut to the left hip, step with the right, vertical step. And one more time for you guys. So right foot is forward, step back with the right is you come over the left shoulder, and then you cut to the left hip, over the right shoulder, and then left shoulder, and then cut to the right hip, back over the left shoulder as I spin through, and I cut from my right shoulder to my left hip, step forward to the right, and then cut right down vertical. 82 times, 10 those down on vertical. Right over the left shoulder, the left hip, over the right shoulder, the right hip, and then the left shoulder, spin through, cut the left hip, and over the head. Time. All right, so now just kind of going from the very beginning to the very end, we're just going to do this one time just so you can kind of see how this whole thing's starting to put together, and then we'll practice spinning the sword. All right, so in the very beginning, The sword was on our left hip. And we went bato. And then we went over the head, and we went horizontal. We stepped to the left, step to the right, vertical. And then you step directly to the side and block. And then step in with the left a little bit, diagonal, horizontal, step forward to the right, vertical. And then you're going to come back over the left shoulder, step back, diagonal, diagonal, and then spin through, diagonal, step through your right, vertical, and kind of where we're at so far. Yes? Well, in the very beginning, but not anymore. Now there'll be a chiburi. There's actually two chiburis. It's this one, which I didn't show you yet. The previous one. You gave me all. And then there's this one. Very end, which we're going to play around with right now. So we only have a minute. So the sword spinning here is, as I do this, I'm going to roll the sword to the outside of my body. And then as I go to the inside, I roll my shoulder behind me and let the sword come up behind me. And then I bring it right back. So I'm going to go outside, inside, but I roll my shoulder to the back so it cuts straight up behind me. And then right back to there. Outside, inside, roll the shoulder, back to it. Almost like I'm cutting this person, I'm cutting that person, and then I'm turning, I'm cutting that one, and then I go here. Cut, turn, cut upwards, and then down. Cut down, turn, cut up, cut down. Roll, cut down, turn, cut up, cut down. Outside, inside, back in. Outside, inside, roll, right? And then eventually you can do it to where you're just doing that backwards cut, but I want it to be tight as opposed to I'm here and it's just spinning in the front of me. I want it to be tight against my body here. That's a nice tight circle. Here it's tight, and then I roll here and it's tight, so I can do this and be close to the pole, and I'm not smashing into the pole, right? You should be able to practice this in a hallway of your house. I said you should be able to, not that you should do it, right? But you should be able to visualize being in this hallway, like these two pieces of tape represent my hall, and I'm doing this motion inside of that space, as opposed to I'm smashing over here, knocking over lamps, hitting my little brother or sister, right? Now his fault. Your fault. You're not in class to know how to defend himself, right? And then once you get this down and it's tight, what I want you to think of practicing is doing it like twice. So you go 1, 2, and then chiburi, right? 1, 2, chiburi. Now basically begin, right? And after that, we'll finish it away. All right, there you go. Everybody relax hands. Loud and proud as a dedicated student of the martial arts. I will live by the principles of black belt. Modesty, courtesy, integrity, self-control, perseverance, and indomitable spirit. What is the goal? Neutral stance position. Team chest. Courtesy out. Impact martial arts. Awesome. All right. We slowly, one person bows at a time, socially distanced teenagers. Okay, you can get it. Bye now. Bye, Leo Doyle. Bye now. You're welcome, Matthew. It's good to see you class. Oh, the detail that I picked up this week, gentlemen. For long fourth. Another one? Yes. Some. Remember how I was having issues with the double punch, right? And I was doing it as a double punch. So off of arm drag, we're going here, and I was saying that it didn't come from there, but I was doing it that way. Is rewatching his video today. He has two versions of the video. He has the one where he performs it, And then he has one where he explains what he's performing. And I was just watching the video of him performing it. So I was like, okay, yeah, I remember all that, no big deal, but I wasn't paying attention to the detail. And then today, because the part that we're going into, I needed to slow it down and pay attention to what he was doing, because the whole time his back's to the camera. So you're hearing him say, you know, okay, so you're gonna go this part, you can see him at, and all of a sudden he goes, okay, and then mid knuckle, back knuckle, and then trap, and then back fist, and then inverted dart as you sweep. And all you're seeing is the back of it, right? And so then because of that, I did, instead of going all the way back to the beginning, I moved it back just a little bit, and he's, you know, watching and listening to detail. And it is that you go arm drag here and this way, right? It doesn't change. But it's because it's middle knuckle, back knuckle, which is what we would call side fist, back fist, right? So after the sweep, it's right back fist, and then side fist, back fist, right? So it's not supposed to be double punch, it's supposed to be here, because I'm hitting with the back. That's why they call it middle knuckle, back knuckle. Middle knuckle is the side fist, you're hitting with the middle knuckle, and your back knuckle is the back fist. So it takes a little while to just even understand the terminology. Not that long, because you know, I picked up on it quick, but I remember the first time I'm watching it, he's like saying things like hidden foot and back knuckle, middle knuckle. I'm like, what is back knuckle, middle knuckle? And then after I watched a little bit, I'm like, you know, back knuckle, middle knuckle. I mean, I picked it up last time, but the first time I ever watched him doing long board, he's doing like, when you do this part after we go here, and then stepping this way, you go to the upward block, right, and then right, upward block, right, back this. So here, we refer to this as the hidden foot, right? This foot back here is like the hidden foot, right? It's like a crossing. Hidden foot, hidden foot, what is hidden foot?
Oh, one of the new girls that started their office for boy training, I don't know his name, training, and I don't even know, but she said that they were at something in Sarasota, they were calling it, what we call it, they were calling it.
Ladies horse.
I mean, I guess it's the first thing, really, but.
Right. Well, I can see that because, like, back in the days of women riding horses with dresses, they would ride this way, right? Instead of, you know, riding big, they would ride with, it would be more like, you're sitting cross-legged on a horse, right? So you go to that, and then you kind of do this. So I can see where they would call that. To make that connection.
Yeah.
Although I don't know if I would ever call it a ladies' horse dance because, I don't know. We probably wear a dress over on the horse, are it?
There are times in this time where I'm supposed to pay them here.
Yeah. You probably have like leggings out under your dress. You wouldn't be like. Oh, geez. All of that was just recorded. Good thing.